evening, everyone. I am Ivan, founder and CEO of Design Tech, and it's a pleasure to be moderating this evening. The documentary we just watched offers a glimpse on the world of Pininfarina. That is a company with 95 years of important history of design that is still exploring the relationship between design, innovation, and the industry. As Design Tech, I was happy to see that also Co-Factory was a reference project featured in the video. We try to enable innovation along the value chain, connecting the dots between companies, established corporates, startup, and designers. And we play an active role to bring innovation to the market. So some of the topics we will discuss today are very relevant to us, from tech transfer to offsite construction, branded architecture. So I'm happy to start the conversation with Giovanni. Giovanni, you don't need any introduction. So.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, first of all, to The Plan for inviting us in this very interesting initiative, and thank you to Iris Ceramiche. I want to say a last thank you to the team. I mean, we tried as much as possible to integrate different people from the team, because in Pininfarina we have a very horizontal approach to the design. This is something that comes from car design. So, for us, there is no one single, let's say, top of the pyramid that represented the design vision, but it's very, the creative process is very shared. And so I wanted to thank everyone that took part of the documentary, but also all the other from the team that were not able to join, and also our teams in the US and China. And last but not least, I also want to thank you, Carlo Micono, that will intervene in the documentary later on.
So we start with the first question that is for you, but I invite also Carlo and the other speakers, to Nicole and Sasha, to join the stage. So I will start with this topic that is the relationship between academy and companies. And so tech transfer is a well-established practice between corporates and university, but when it comes to a global design powerhouse such as Pininfarina, which are the deeper goals of a collaboration with an institution such as the Politecnico of Milano, and now you try to really bring design-driven innovation through this partnership.
Well, let's say as Pininfarina, we come from car design, so research and innovation are key elements of the business, in a way. And so we learned this in architecture. In architecture, maybe less in product design, but very much in architecture, usually you learn by doing, you research by doing. So many times in the past, working in architectural office, I heard the sentence, our research is actually happens in doing the project. This, I don't think it's always real. It doesn't always work. That's why also with the culture that we have in Pininfarina, we have started the collaboration with Politecnico di Milano that you were mentioning. Actually, is more than a collaboration, is a PhD. Is more than a PhD, is an industrial PhD. What does it mean? That we have one person from the team, Giuseppe Conti, that I think it's somewhere here with us, that spends half of his time in Pininfarina and half of this time in Politecnico. He studies and develops his PhD with Ingrid Pauletti, that was supposed to be here with us today, but unfortunately she had a last-minute inconvenience. They, of course, follow a research that is valuable for Pininfarina architecture, which is basically design for manufacturing and assembly applied to architecture. As you might know, design for manufacturing and assembly is a research field, is a methodology that was developed in CAD design that was passed to product design, and in the last few years also to architecture. We will talk about that later, but I want to focus more on the modality of the PhD. So the industrial PhD really helps employees to do research in a structured way through an academy, as Politecnico of Milano is, without losing the possibility of working and developing their career into the company. Because as we know, most of the cases, a PhD is a moment that is fully developed into academia, and it doesn't allow you to accelerate and to proceed into your growth into the company. I think this is like a unique opportunity that is rarely used in Italy. The industrial PhD is something that is very little used, and that I don't think it's used in architecture. I think we are the only architectural office in Italy that applies this this industrial PhD, or maybe there are others that I don't know, I'm not familiar with. And Politecnico di Milano has a very streamlined process to activate the process, and so I wanted to spend a few words on that, because I think that many other companies, maybe many other architectural offices or engineering firm might evaluate this opportunity that universities in Italy give to companies, and that again is very underrated.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think it's a pretty unique case, and I hope that other companies will follow your example. I will take the occasion of this question to extend the question also to Carlo. You are also teaching at the university, so you can bring your own perspective on this.
Yeah. Maybe we can just introduce Carlo first, because I don't think we did. Yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you for inviting me here. I'm Carlo Micono. I'm a partner of AI engineering and engineering firm based in Torino, which for a lot of years I've been collaborating with Pininfarina, and I'm also visiting professor at Politecnico di Torino in green building design and low carbon architecture. Now my answer is, as a professor in Politecnico, the strong relationship between a company like Pininfarina and the university, from my point of view, is very, very important for different reasons. First of all, because students are always very interested in seeing real cases, not only real construction sites, of course, but also real companies, real products, real process to product products. And the technology transfer is a very important issue in an innovative design for buildings. Let's make a quick example. For instance, the ETFE, which is the light membrane that we commonly use nowadays to cover big spaces, and then that we also used some years ago in the Juventus Stadium that we also see before, was one of the first technology transfer from the space industry to the building design. And according to the control of the whole process for all the components of a building or all the material of a building, in order to check and to reduce the CO2 emissions, it's very important to know deep from deep inside the process of production and construction. That's why this kind of relationship is very important to reach the new goals that we are asked to reach in order to face the climate change challenge that we are facing in these periods.
One more question for you, Carlo. Why we just say that it's a pretty rare case, the one of Pininfarina supporting an industrial PhD. From your perspective, from inside the university, why it's so tricky to engage with tech transfer initiatives from other players in the industry?
Okay. Now we can say that nowadays it's much more common that component industry has some research project together with universities. For instance, company which produce curtain walls or other photovoltaic panels, other components in order to make innovative researches in their fields. Is less common that design company like Pininfarina Architecture, firms like Pininfarina has this kind of connection with the university, because we know that historically the research of a lot of architecture firms is more focused on the process of design or the identity of the firm itself, and less on the product. I think that the MFMA approach, typical of Pininfarina, is a key point to underline the innovative approach of Pininfarina, which is very suitable for the connection with the university, because we are in between a design company and a production company, also thanks to the history of the company that we heard before in the video.
Thank you very much, Carlo. So this brings me to the next question to you, Giovanni, that is, your industrial heritage is pushing you to embrace off-site construction approach. Still, it's an hot topic in the industry, but it's not so diffused. And so, which is your perspective on this? Why it's not yet adopted at scale? And now you in Pininfarina embrace this also as a way to bring innovation on the real estate field?
Yeah, as we discussed many times, because in the end, also design tech is based on this. The problem with the FMA in construction is not a technology problem, it's more a cultural one. So the technology is there. We are capable of building buildings in a different way, producing most of the components of site through dry construction technologies, through digital manufacturing. And that is a plus, because it helps you to keep under control quality, timing, cost, and more than that, from a social point of view, it also helps to make the construction site a more safe and inclusive working space. But the construction site today is still very traditional. If we go to a construction site, it's not very different from a construction site of 100 years ago. It's safer, yeah, it's cleaner, maybe it's more organized, but more or less the construction technologies are always the same. I think, again, this is a cultural problem. The construction companies, they're very resistant to new innovative processes. I would expect a lot of robotics nowadays in a construction site, and you don't have it. And this is very frustrating for us as architects, but I guess also as engineers, in the sense that, of course, we push for innovation in the design process, but then maybe when the works are appointed to the general contractor, to the construction company, the project in a way goes back to its traditional way of being constructed. The solution to me, there are two actions that we can do. The first one is to push more at the cultural level. So events like this one, the documentary, design tech, as the initiative itself, to have also a physical space where to debate about the innovation in construction. They're very important, because we have, first of all, to make the clients, therefore the developers, aware of this new way of construction. Second, we have to work more hand in hand with the general constructor, with the construction firms, because the DFMA process works if it's a linear process that connects design to construction. If at some point of the design you stop, you pass the design to a constructor, that is the moment in which you lose the capability of doing innovation. And so we have to work on a new alliance between construction companies and designers.
Yeah, I pretty agree on this, Giovanni, because it's not only in the relationship between the design process and the construction company, but also the full value chain, and also the role of design tech is to evangelize this approach. convincing also the real estate developer at the end to provide a pipeline of project that is suitable for this approach. So it's truly, I guess, a cultural shift. And given the Pininfarina roots in the automotive industry, how do you think that that kind of expertise and domain could contribute to the evolution also of the offsite construction?
Well, car design can contribute in the sense that there is a lot of literature, a lot of research, a lot of material that was developed in car design and that is now easy to be transferred in architecture. There are some firms that are more advanced. If I think about Zaha the architect, for example, they were maybe the first one understanding that there was a lot of competence that they could embrace in their design process, mostly to make complex shapes in a sustainable way, mostly from an economical point of view, as well as shop architects, which is the more advanced. Indeed, if you look at shop architects, they're not just an architectural firm, but they're also a construction firm. So they cover the full value chain in a way. And so I would say that it's just a matter, of taking the time and exploring what has been done already. That's why we have activated the PhD with the Politecnico di Milano. Again, it's a way to focus properly, not just within or while doing projects, but focusing and dedicating the time that this discipline needs, with, of course, the best researchers in the area. I mean, I think that Ingrid is the best person. Ingrid Paoletti is the best person to talk in a very high-level way about the FMA. So it's a great opportunity for us to work with her and her team on this topic.
So we need to run a second round table with her as well to go deeper on this.
We miss her.
We miss. Next question is for you and Carlo, going in this forward. Engineering and design are complementary disciplines, and which is the way you work together to deliver a complex project that really works and deliver the expected UX of the space of the building. First,
shall I start? Yeah. Well, going back to car design, I think we mentioned that in the documentary. I think it's necessary today to develop and use new methodologies to manage an architectural project, because an architectural project has become something which is extremely complex. And it's extremely complex because it's the synthesis of many disciplines, of very norms, technologies, materials, social, economical issues. And so it's not possible for a single architect to develop a project. My grandfather, he was an architect, and he had an office of 3 people, and he designed many buildings in Modena, and today this would simply not be possible. So it's a need to work together in the design process in a very collaborative way. And of course, the first 2 disciplines that you have to bring together are engineering and architecture, mostly structural engineering and MEP. Then you add on top of that a lot of other disciplines today. And it's necessary also to apply platforms and methodologies that can bring all this knowledge together. Again, what I wanted to say before, even in Pininfarina, we don't have a single person taking design decision. It's something that is spread around. The same thing happens in the design process itself. So it's not possible to have a single person taking decision for a project. It's something that is shared among the team. The design process is becoming something more and more horizontal. Otherwise, it's simply not working. And I have to say that with Carlo especially, because it's also something personal in a way. No, I mean, working with people, it's something that goes beyond putting just competencies in a room. And with Carlo, I think we have done a lot of projects since the very early stage in the last few years. And it was very valuable, the integration of the competence of Pininfarina from a design point of view, and the competencies of AI engineering from an environmental, structural, MEP point of view. I said it all, so I don't know what you can say more. Sorry.
No, but thank you, Giovanni. But just to underline something that you already said, that the integration, the word integration, the integrated approach, a real integrated approach, in our common views, is the only way to reach a real innovation in the process and in the projects themselves. Integrated approach means that since from the early stage phases of the design process, engineers and architects work together. We can call them all the people involved in the process, without boundaries between engineers or architects or designer or artist or whoever is involved in the process of design from the early stage to the final phases of the construction themselves. Then nowadays we have also some instruments which help us to make this approach more and more integrated, as for instance the BIM process from the early stage up to the maintenance, operation and maintenance of the buildings after the construction. And also another important topics which help us to make this approach more and more integrated is the sustainability, because sustainability, if applied in the real sustainable approach, with a real sustainable approach, means that everything has to be thought from the first phases of the design, from the concept of the design. Because sustainability means to optimize the relationship between the buildings or the urban planning and the climate condition, the specific place of the project. And then the materials recycled or recyclable, the energy efficiency and performances, the comfort for people, everything which is involved in the project from a technical point of view in order to optimize the environmental performance, and also the social aspects and economical aspects. So sustainability can be an instrument to integrate the different competence between all the people involved in this kind of process.
Oh, thank you, Carlo. I wanted to ask about the tools, also digital tools that you use daily to support this kind of collaboration. But in fact, I want to do another question to you, that is, you say it's a way to bring real innovation to the final user. But to be really honest, also in my experience as a tenant, watching closer to the real estate process, there is a big concern on budget nowadays for building, right? So the thing is that if you don't take accountability to really make it work, at the end of the day, what has been designed will not be delivered or will be under-delivered. So which is your opinion on this?
Yeah, but from my point of view, I can say that a bigger effort during the first phases of the design lead to a reduction of the whole costs of the whole process for the construction and also for the maintenance of the buildings. So what is important is to be very clever and integrated from the concept of the buildings, the urban planning and so on, in order to control all the phases and to evaluate before all the possibilities, also to elements that we couldn't expect at the early stage design, but we need to forecast them in order to control everything and to avoid surprises that, at the end, as you said, lead some strange surprises.
Yeah, I think in order to be sustainable, you need to be first sustainable from the economic point of view, and I think that collaboration is key, and trust among the people of the team brings to accountability. So these allow me to introduce the next speaker, Nicola Girotti. And the question for you, Nick, is Pininfarina has my opinion, the unfair advantage of having under the same roof the product innovation team and the architecture and design team. And so this gives you the ability to tackle complex projects with an integrated approach. So how you really tackle complexity through collaboration?
Yeah, is it working? Okay, this is very important, to emphasize the first aspect. First of all, we are all sit together, and the proximity is helping a lot, because that means that there is a lot of contamination on the day-to-day base, but also on a weekly base. We try to show and share, what the architects are doing and what the designers are doing. And many times there is the opportunity of working together in the project. And this is a unique opportunity because as a designer, I'm the head of the design team, we look at small project, small products, and at the human scale, let me say, things that you can take in the hand or you can sit, but always thinking about like the people that are going to use the product. And this is like very similar to the approach of the architect. They think about the people that will live in the space at the design. So it's just a question of sharing the common knowledge and maybe think and look at the project within these two scales, the micro and the macro together, and really create a dialogue in order to challenge each other and really working by sharing the different skills in a common direction that is like looking at the well-being of the people and looking at how the people will live in the space that we design. Either it is like an element of the furniture, or it is the building, the entrance, or the facade. So this is like all connected, and we try to look at it holistically by unifying the approach and the capabilities of the team.
Thank you, Nicola. You want to add something on this, Giovanni?
No, I think it's on the integration between product and architecture. I think it's for us, and maybe this leads to the next part of the speech, to really create, also looking at the markets, a holistic experience and the capability for the brand to design many aspects of people's life. That ultimately exposes us and challenging us, understanding really how we can improve people's life. And from the market point of view, allows to have a consistent view, which is so different to find nowadays, no? Because it's very easy to find very specific products or very specific areas, but it's very rare, no, to find a design firm that is capable to go from mobility to urban planning to architecture, interior design, product, digital experience, and it's also something magical in a way that we have, that is part of the culture that has been created over the decades in the company.
Yeah, so I think that is this the kind of play field on which also projects like the one you are presenting to Biennale Architecture are taking place. Biennale of Venezia, it's a major cultural event, and I think can play a role also on evangelizing the potential of new technologies. And the question for you, Nicola, is how the role of design can help technology to be perceived the right way?
Yeah, this is fundamental, because every time that we design either a building or a product, we are somehow communicating something to the people. And for the Biennale of Venezia, that was like even to the next level, because we have designed a nuclear reactor. So the creation of that design, it was a very good example of going back to the previous question. It was completely collaboration between product design team and architecture team. And the goal in that project was not just to design a beautiful product, but was to make the product that somehow it's nuclear technology, it's looking like something far away and maybe a bit scary, more closer to human. So the way also we have, imagine a product that is like lighter, even if it is like 5.5 meters tall, it's something to help the people getting closer and learning about these technologies. So in that case, there is a very important aspect of the design in terms of communicating the beauty of technology and the impact that this technology could make to the life of the people and not being scared of it. And this is like fundamental because, we as a designer, we try to put ourselves into the future, but it's important that our vision, our ideas are also understood by the biggest amount of people. And the Biennale, it's a way for giving a message to a very wide spectrum of audience and really trying to bring a technology that is not so far away, because we are talking about only a few years ahead of us, but closer to the people and trying to show to the people the value and the advantage of this technology that could bring. So this is a key, let's say, moment for design to be really the interpret of the future and showing the value to the big community.
Yeah, I saw the concept while you were designing, and I can't wait to see it. I'm going the day after tomorrow to visit Biennale. But what about you? Are you happy with the result of the final installation?
Yeah, let me say it was a challenge because of the time, because of the complexity, and also because of the size. So when you're going to see it, it's like 5.5 meters, and the roof is less than 1 meter taller than the nuclear reactor, but was fundamental to bring something that was like scale 101. And sorry, I do a little bit of spoiler if you haven't seen the pictures already, but on the outside you see the nuclear reactor, but when you go inside you see how it works. And this is important because when we create a product, we think about like how to communicate the functionalities, and that was like first of all, it's a wow effect, but also it's a learning moment, so where the people can understand how this technology works and maybe getting closer to it instead of looking at something like far away and I don't want to know about it. And so this is like very important because when we design something, we don't design only the product, we design completely, in that case, all the experience of the visitors arriving from far away, getting closer, learning the functionalities, learning the value that a nuclear reactor could bring. And this is, fundamental, from also social point of view, the importance of the design to convey certain messages to the future.
Yeah, for sure, these kind of initiatives, the Biennale and the installation you did there, they need to educate as well. So I'm curious to see the final result. Sasha, the last question is for you, but first of all, you want to introduce yourself?
I think I was present in the video.
You
it's more
were
than enough.
Absolute protagonist of the video. So the question for you is, Pininfarina brings to the table of real estate not only design domain and expertise, but also brand equity too. And how these turn to be a leverage to really transform the built environment, the built space into a branded experience.
Branded projects, I believe, are really interesting because, coming back to what we were discussing before, those are the projects that really allow us to blur the borders between the disciplines. So this is the field where we can experiment and we blur the border between architecture, interior design, and product design. So just imagine this is the field where we can really create our vision and where we create an experience that is really coherent, starting from the facade design, master plan itself of the development, interior. So we have those exterior elements that enter inside and give us an inspiration for the interior design, and where we can find, of course, some product design designed by our colleagues. So it's a really handcrafted experience, and we create together with our clients the story and a possibility to ensure that the product will be developed and constructed at a really high quality level. So our mission in this case is to make sure that our design corresponds really to what we had in our mind, and to change together and to make an impact on the new community. Like, for instance, before we were looking at the iconic residences in Dubai. Of course, we create a great storytelling, but we had the possibility to have an impact on the Dubai skyline.
Great, and as in the case of, we were discussing for Offsite approach in your daily work, you think that the opportunity to work around the branded architecture is also a driver for innovation?
Yes, I think maybe Giovanni could add more on this topic, but I think this is the great opportunity where we can really test and introduce our know-how and our innovation in the design process and the construction. So, of course, we collaborate with the branded development to ensure that we can bring off-site technologies in our branded residences.
Thank you. Giovanni, you want to add more on this?
Yeah, I wanted maybe to elaborate on the fact that when you apply the brand to a piece of architecture, you also apply your values, right? Because the brand is first about values, and second, of course, about the trust that you can create and the connection you can create with the people through values that you amplify in a way. Something that we try to do through Branded Resi is also to, as Sasha was saying, to impact on the communities we work with, especially working in the so-called, even I don't like the word, luxury industry. So when we work on Branded Resi, we try also to understand what does it mean to do high-end products in a society like today, in which usually, luxury is associated with a privilege for just few people, while using a lot of resources from the community. So our response to that is first of all, try to impact positively on the community, enhancing local creativity, for example, local culture. So in a way, while doing something amazing, involving and giving back to the local community, enhancing their capabilities and involving them in the project. Second is, as much as possible, to integrate public space that can bring people together, even very different people together. I was reading and I was sharing with the team yesterday a very nice text from Michael Sandel, which is the philosophy professor from Harvard, and he was saying that at this point, to improve and to facilitate discussion about welfare, about participation, we have also the responsibility, first of all, to recreate an idea of society that in the last decades, in a way, we have lost, toward like individualism and other disciplines, and other theories. And space has an impact. So through space and through design in general, we have the responsibility to recreate a new sense of society, and in doing so, we have to bring different people from different societal background together in the same space. And I love the fact that Michael Sandel, which is a philosopher, by the way, was talking with Piketty, which is an economist, at some point had to fall down to space and to bring space into the equation. This is something that to me represents the fact that design in this moment in history is so important. It's back to its value. I think over the course of the last century, in a way, design had lost it. I mean, I got my degree 15 years ago, so it's not like very far away in time. And I remember that when I got my degree in engineering and architecture, it was like, oh yeah, of course you do, design, but this is not serious stuff. Basically, the message was it. While now, we as architects, we as designers, we as engineers, we are brought into the process since the very early stages. And I think Nucleo, is a very good example in this sense. Would have you ever thought about involving an architect or a designer for designing the exterior of a nuclear reactor up to a few years ago? I don't think so. It never happened.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. While Nucleo did, and not just Nucleo, because also Westinghouse, which is the second most important startup in the nuclear industry, involved Norman Foster for a similar project. So it really means that design is going back to its power of changing the world. So it's our responsibility, to do it in our daily life. This is the moment, and we don't want to lose the opportunity. And when we use the brand, we have double the responsibility in this sense.
I don't know if we can go also into kind of more business model discussion. It's up to you. But the question for me, you use the expression brand values. I use the expression brand equity, but really the values of the brand that are transferred into a project are the real shift. And I believe that you are pretty unique in delivering not just a design service, but also a kind of licensing agreement to grant the brand use. Is this somehow committing you more to the ultimate value of the product that you are bringing to the market, or it will be the same if you will just design the...
No, as I was saying, when you put the brand so strongly into the project, of course you have the double responsibility of delivering something which is aligned to your values and which is relevant for the community that trusts you. Because in the end, it's a matter of trust. The reason why brand is so applied in real estate nowadays is that because the real estate industry understood that is the only industry that doesn't really apply trust or emotional criteria to the sales process. So they learn from industries such as the car manufacturing industry, in which before selecting the car that you want, you start from the brand, and then you start go to the model, and then to the finishes. But this doesn't apply in real estate, because in real estate you usually scout on the local market some kind of white label products, and then you pick the best out of your own selection without having that facilitation, that a brand gives you when you select your car or when you select a piece of clothing and so on. So the responsibility, of course, is double. But I think this is, again, necessary and important to really give an impact to the project and to connect with the people that believes in your values, and so there is a stronger, faster connection that in a way helps you also to make your impact more important and more relevant.
Nicola, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think it's, I'm completely aligned with Giovanni, and I think it's important.
Of course you are.
Otherwise you are fired.
Not always, as you know, not always. No, but it's important also to not only to be coherent with our values, but also Pininfarina is evolving. So it's a question of putting our intention also towards the future. It's a way to demonstrate also how the Pininfarina will change through the time, and also how our values are also changing through the time. So it's important to have this, Giovanni was talking about responsibility towards the future, but also towards the soul of Pininfarina that is keep growing. Even if we are 95 years old, we are keep evolving and keep changing through the time in order to make sure that we are answering to the real need of the people and society. So this is, if it is like a building or it is a furniture or a product, it's the same kind of approach that we try to have and the same level of, let's say, coherency and future vision that we try to apply to our project.
Yeah, thank you. Because we have a few minutes before summarizing the speech, I want to ask you, all of you, what you think will be the relationship of the new generation with the design? You think that new generation are perceiving the role of design the same way past generation? I will start with Sasha.
Good question. I think that maybe they are even more connected to the design rather we were in the past. Everyone is so attached to social media and all the trends are immediately spreading among the young generations. So I believe it will be progress even more and more, and the design will be enter into our life more strongly. I don't know, Nicola, what do you think?
It's well, it is challenging. We are always looking at the new generations, and it's that are, very quickly changing, and they've got like a spectrum of attention that is like incredibly short, and also they have different kind of values compared to the values that had at the same age. So I think in that case it is even more relevant for the design to understand this evolution of needs and also evolution of the real values of a product in the sense that it's not anymore the owning a product because of its design, quality, etc., but it's more owning a product because of the kind of experience or the kind of service it could provide. So what I think is the importance of design and designer in general in this time is always to zoom out, to try to look at the real needs and really try to create a dialogue with the people that we are designing for, because it's not just a question of designing beautiful products here in the headquarters, but it's much more a question of understanding what are the real needs and who are designing for, and really try to grasp the unique aspect that will really make the difference for these people. In that sense, the design will be more and more important for the new generation. Also, it will be like a big challenge to try to last in time, to create a connection. So this is like, I think it's in this moment, it's a big evolution of design, and we need to keep really a big attention on how we make the things and how to give the right message to the right target.
Yeah. For sure, there are different needs that evolves with the generations, and so it's very important to try to understand. But you inspired this question because you you mentioned coherence, and I think that the relationship with the brand from new generation is changing. The fidelity to the brand for the status or for what it represents, it's less powerful, and is more important to be genuinely connected with the story and the meaning that that product is bringing to the market. So this is for you.
I can answer according to my experience in teaching in the Atelier of Green Design at Polytechnic Torino for the last almost 15 years. I can say that students pass from a more formal approach, more related to the main architects of the history of our contemporary architecture or nowadays, to a bigger consciousness related with the performances of the urban planning design, buildings, and a bigger relationship between the different scale of design, from the bigger scale to the detail. So it's more important that what you were saying, the meaning, the message, the performance for buildings, more than the shape, the general shape of the formal aspect of the architecture in this case.
Thank you. The same question for you, but I will add one more because you say that 15 years ago you got graduated.
Indeed, we are the new generation.
The question is, you feel new generation?
Exactly. No, in the sense that when you talk with architects, usually good architects are very, very old people. No? So I mean, we are in the end the new generation of architects. Now, back to your question. I think that new generation, of course, they are very visual. No, the like social media stuff. I mean, I don't have to justify it. AI, we haven't talked about AI yet. Makes everything very visual, you know, and that is a language, you know, more than writing. So I think that society overall is moving more from writing to visualizing things. I was in a train. I was in the train last week, and there were two lawyers next to me, and they were talking about the fact that now in contracts you have a visual executive summary of the contract. So contracts are becoming so complex, and you need like you have a few minutes maybe to discuss it. So they do kind of a one-pager visual that represents the main point of the contract. So I would say that design has come even where we would have never expected to be. No, and back to my point before, it's a very important moment. So for new generations, design will be more and more important. It is very important. Again, back to AI, we have to look at generations that we will have a picture like in a second, no? Because you can describe whatever you think and you get it. So we as designers, if we don't want to disappear, we have to bring everything which is not just a final image. So we have to be practical and concrete on the values behind, on the feasibility behind. And we were talking today with the team about the materials. You know, for us as architects, I would say that is a moment in which we never had so many requests from clients to get physical samples. Because in the end, you know, images, yeah, I can have many, but touching the thing, the material, and looking at material in real life, one next to the other, it's very important. It's banal, but it's a new need that we see in the market today. And so yes, design will be super important in the future. Will be the most important language to me.
Definitely, I think that we can move towards the conclusion. We keep the AI for our next discussion. That for sure, it's very hot topic as well.
Or maybe the next panel on Pininfarina will be done by AI, and we will be just watching.
Depends on timing. But I was supposed to try to summarize a little bit this panel discussion, but because we were talking about collaboration before, I would like you to help me with like 1 minute or two for each of you to try to give a conclusion of what we discussed and bring to the table. So let's start with you, Giovanni.
So
you have the responsibility.
No, there was some smoke, so I got distracted, but everything is fine back there, right? All fine. So you have to repeat the question, sorry.
No, I was asking for help to try to bring to the table some conclusion of this discussion of today. So let's collaborate.
Yeah, well, I think we discussed a lot about multidisciplinarity, and this is one of the key aspects and values of Pininfarina, and the importance of this, multilateral approach to the complexity of the architectural world. So I think that we as Pininfarina, we can bring, this capability to manage complexity from CAD design to the future of construction. And of course, this will be a collaborative process.
Carlo.
Yes, for me, the key words are that the integrated approach is the only means to reach important goals. The strong integration between and engineers is important from the early stage design of the process, and also a new meaning in a new way to design using innovative technology. For instance, adopting the DFMA approach is very important to reach the goal of the zero carbon emissions that we know that the PBE recast by the European Union 2024 completely changed the approach from the near zero or the zero energy building, so to reduce the energy needs of building, to reduce or to bring to zero the CO2 emissions. It means to consider all the materials, all the components, from the extraction of the raw materials to the different operation to construct the different components, to the end of the life of the buildings and the new life of the building. So also the assembly and disassembly procedure of the building themselves has to completely change the way to be done. It's the integration of the competence is the only way to reach these goals.
Thank you. Nicola?
Yeah, and as we said before, also the importance of design and architecture as a collaboration for convey new messages, positive messages, also towards a near future, like the one that we talked about nucleos or nuclear reactors, and how this vision of design, will help making this product closer to the people in order to understand better the functionality and understand better the value that could bring to the world. So it's really the, let's say, social and strategic advantage of design in this moment, in this shift of technology towards a positive future.
Sasha?
I believe that collaboration is the key of success today, taken in consideration that design field is so complex and you have to deal with different disciplines and competencies. Personally, one of the most exciting and fun part of the design process for me is really the collaboration with the structural engineers, map engineers, when you really try to figure out how to make true your design concept in a sustainable way and reasonable way. Those are one of the most exciting parts of the design itself, I believe. And of course, in Pininfarina, we have this great opportunity to collaborate with different design disciplines like product design, for instance, or automotive design, and of course it gives extra value.
Yeah, I want to capitalize on your keywords. My personal opinion, also from this interesting conversation. Thank you to all of you in presence and to the audience that is watching us online for being with us for more than 1 hour. I would say that sustainability is truly the ultimate goal for everyone here. And technology is a tool, is a powerful tool, and is available like never before. And the AI is an example of a technology that is being, to a certain extent, even more accessible and democratic. But design shall play at least an equivalent role in trying to push the innovation that technology can enable in a meaningful direction and to reach sustainability in all the aspects of sustainability, not just the one related to the climate change, but social, etc. And the way you can do this is possibly, and today, to a certain extent, there is an example of this. It's through ecosystem innovation. So you just said nobody can be successful nowadays alone, and this is true also for a big company like Pininfarina. You need to cooperate with partners, with innovative companies, with startups, with other designers, because this is the only way we can address the big challenge that we have had. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.